Hi, I'm Dina Davidson. Growing up, I had my favorite Aunt Sally. She was actually a great aunt. I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure of having a great aunt, but they're great. There is no pressure in being a great aunt. And every time we went over to her house, she had candy and she was just the best. Well, there came a period in life where she actually decided to live right next door to us in our guest house, which was phenomenal because that meant we got more time with Aunt Sally. So one of the things that we love to do with Aunt Sally is watch the movie Pride and Prejudice, because obviously every girl loves watching that movie. But the thing about Aunt Sally is, as she grew older, she began to fall asleep during movies. And that was fine, except that she always fell asleep at the same exact moment in Pride and Prejudice. And it was probably 2 or 3 times that we watched Pride and Prejudice with her. And she would wake up in the scene where Elizabeth is chewing out Mr. Darcy and they're having their first little tiff. And inevitably, she would always wake up in the middle when they're fighting and say, "Why is Elizabeth yelling at poor Mr. Darcy?" And it just cracked us up. Every single time she fell asleep in the same moment, she missed the entire drama, and she was clueless as to why these two characters were fighting. Because as far as she knew, they love each other towards the end of the movie. Sorry to spoil that if you haven't seen Pride and Prejudice, but you know, it's been out for a while. What does that have to do with Scripture? Well, honestly, sometimes I think we are just like Aunt Sally in that we fall asleep in the middle of the story. Maybe we listen in Genesis and we know the beginning. And maybe we've read the end of the story, we know what happens, but we're lost when it comes to the middle. You know those middle chapters of Scripture, what are they all about? Well, if you are lost in Scripture, I want to give you a verse that I think perfectly explains the grand teachings of Scripture, why every single chapter is written in the Bible. Let's read. Romans 15:4. For everything that was written in the past was written to teach us, so that through the endurance taught in the Scriptures and the encouragement they provide, we might have hope. So there you have it. If you come across a completely random, seemingly, I have no idea how this fits story in Scripture, just know it was written for 2 things. It was written to teach you endurance, and it was written to teach you hope. So where can you find endurance and where can you find hope in these stories? What are the characters learning that you need to learn? And what are the characters looking forward to that you also can look forward to? I don't know if you've ever been like my Aunt Sally or even like myself, reading a scripture that's just a little bit challenging. You're not sure how it fits into the grand scheme of things. If so, I hope you remember this passage and remember that we are learning endurance and we are learning hope from all those crazy stories that seem to have no place. Hope that encourages you this morning.